So I'm a 22-year-old day trader and I quit my 9 to 5 and I'm planning on moving to Thailand April 1st, which is in approximately 16 days. Everything that I speak about is from the heart. Everything that I am about to talk about is unscripted. So I just want to share my experiences with you guys because I traveled to Thailand about a week or two ago. Like I spoke about in my last video, I quit my job to go there and it completely changed my life. I have no regrets traveling there. However, I just want to talk about some of my doubts and fears and concerns and things that I'm also looking forward to because, moving across the world is a very, very big deal for me. I'm in a position that allows me to be able to move across the world. However, I'm still a little bit nervous, But allow me to just share why Thailand changed my perspective on America and pretty much changed my life. So, first things first. When I traveled to Thailand, I noticed one thing immediately off the bat, and that was the people. The people there are very, very friendly, and they are very, very nice. And I immediately compared Thai people to American people. And what I mean by that is, here in America, I currently live in California, Orange County, California at that, and there are some friendly people here. However, there are some people that are very intolerable as well. And what I mean by that is, a lot of the people here tend to be very, very wealthy, and a lot of the people here also tend to be not very wealthy, and that doesn't mix well because a lot of the wealthy people have huge egos, as rightfully so. You don't get in their position without having an ego. But then you have the people who aren't so wealthy who are just trying to survive on a day-to-day basis. And when you're trying to survive on a day-to-day basis, you tend not to be so welcoming or friendly towards others. You're constantly in survival mode thinking about how you're going to pay your next bill. You're constantly thinking about how you're going to get your next meal, or you're just stuck in this very, very toxic mindset of just not being able to be your true authentic self. You're not able to just be friendly and opening and just loving towards other people. And that's one thing that I noticed in Thailand, that the people were very friendly despite their living conditions, because a lot of the people there aren't very privileged as we are here in America. The people there were friendly despite their living conditions, and that honestly blew my mind. The people here in America, they tend not to be so friendly, like I've said a few times. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to what I'm saying right now. It's one of those things that you have to experience instead of just putting into words and explaining it. Americans, we don't fucking like each other, man. I mean, plain blunt. Simply put, we just don't like each other, and that's one thing that is really, really turning me off from America. Another thing, this is probably the biggest thing that I noticed in Thailand. The biggest thing that I noticed in Thailand was how affordable it was. And before you say, oh, for Thai locals or Thai natives, it's not so affordable. Yes, I understand that. It's a lot of the world, I'm assuming, is the same, meaning for the natives of a home country, it is probably pretty difficult to get by. It's just like here in America. If you're an American native, it's difficult to get by. It's not impossible, but if you don't have any help from your parents or from your family, and you're someone who's trying to make a name for themselves and start from ground zero, then it could be very, very hard. It's the same in Thailand. But however, as a foreigner, if you move to a country with more opportunity, then life can be very, very easy. And that's the biggest thing that I noticed. For me, as an American, the dollar goes so much farther in Thailand. Currently, I live here in America, and I have roommates. I live in like a 5 bedroom house. I'm renting a room, and I'm very blessed to be in this situation where I only pay $1,000 in rent. Just me being transparent, I pay $1,000 for a bathroom in a room. However, when I went to Thailand last week, I paid $300 for a condo for a week. Now, before you go to the comment section, let me finish. That same condo I'm going to be moving into when I move to Thailand, and my host is charging me $500 a month for an entire condo on the 25th floor. Beautiful view, beautiful condo, beautiful building, peace of mind, and it blew my mind that my money could go so much farther in a country than my own home country. And that's another thing with America. We all are feeling, even people who are fortunate, such as myself, we are all feeling the inflation that's going on in America. We are feeling it, whether it be for gas prices, cost of living, or just like buying simple groceries. We are all feeling it. Like, there's a silent depression going on that we're not talking about. There's a silent depression going on where wages are staying stagnant, but cost of living is just skyrocketing, and it doesn't make any sense, because when you are paying so much, getting paid so little, at that point you're not living life. You're not working to live. You're working to be a slave to your bills. You're working to be a slave in general. You have no money and no time to do anything for yourself, and that is a cycle that many, many people are stuck in, and it's so sad. It's very, very sad, because when you're in that cycle, I was in it for a little bit. You don't have any time to think about anything other than, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? You don't have any time to think about anything else, and you're constantly stressed and stuck in survival mode, and that's something that I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. They're stuck in survival mode and they're not living. When I was in Thailand, food cost me $4. Whether I was ordering food or going out, the average meal costed me $4, and the portions were regular medium-sized portions. Here in America, you want to eat out, it's going to run you a cool $13, $14, $15 minimum for one person. Over there in Thailand, I could get 3 meals for the cost of one here. And that is something that really, really shocked me. And as a result, I had a better peace of mind. I didn't think about spending. I didn't think about how much things cost. I could pay for anything and just know that it's going to be okay. Know that I don't have to penny pinch, or know that I don't have to budget as much as I would here have to in America. So that's another thing that really, really changed my mind being in Thailand. The third thing that really, really just spoke volumes was, well, actually, I want to go back and touch on the second reason that really, really opened my mind up to Thailand. I want to go back and talk about transportation. Here in America, you need a car to go everywhere. Here in America, you need a car, and a car is like having a child. I'm sure those of you who own a car or have a car know that a car is like having a child. It is so stressful sometimes, because not only do you have to pay for gas, I mean, gas it's whatever, we all need gas, right? But you have car insurance, you have a car note if you're leasing your car and you're paying it off, you have maintenance, you have, like I said, gas, you have all these things that you have to pay for your car, and it's just like, it's like having a child. Having a car is very stressful. In Thailand, everything was convenient. You don't have to own a car. You can take Grab, you can own a scooter, you can take a taxi, although I don't recommend taking taxis. You can even take the train, and taking the train was very, very convenient when I stayed in Bangkok. It was very, very, very convenient. I could take the train anywhere and go anywhere, and then pretty much everything is walking distance or Grab distance once you're off the train. I don't know, that just blew my mind. Personally, that blew my mind, because here in America you need a car. The third thing in Thailand was the culture, and what I mean by the culture is just life. the nightlife in life. America is so like it feels so divided here. It feels very, very divided. Like there's barely anybody going outside anymore. Everyone's like stuck inside in their homes. Everyone's not like speaking to each other. No one wants to go out. There's barely any people at parks. The list could go on and on. In America, it feels very, very divided. It feels like we are separated by technology. But in Thailand, there are people walking all the time out on the street. There are people outside in Bangkok all the time. And although in Asian culture it's not very common for people to speak to you like it is in America, there's much more, what's the word? There's much more There's much more collectivism in Thailand. In America, it feels very, very individualistic. And if you don't have friends here or a social life, it's going to be very, very hard, very difficult to make friends or develop a social life with people that you can relate to or people you just get along with. And that's the third thing that I noticed in Thailand. Like, I met a lot of good people out there. Foreign people and Thai people. And it was very easy. Developing relationships or friendships out there felt very automatic. It felt easy. It didn't feel forced. Even with the Thai locals, even with people who didn't necessarily speak English as fluent as an American would, the relationships and the friendships felt very, very automatic, and they felt very easy to develop. And that's one thing that made me just like fall in love with the country. Another thing, here in America, it's pretty violent here. And I personally live in a pretty safe city, give or take. I don't have to deal with the violence, but on the news, you could just turn on the news and see something crazy. Like just last week, actually, I live not too far from Newport Beach, which is a very, very famous beach here in Southern California. And some person drove a car on the pier, and it ended in a shootout with the police, and they ended up killing the guy, which is like kind of insane to think about because Newport's a very safe neighborhood. But not only that, but in Thailand, I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think someone would ever drive a car to the end of the pier and then a shootout would happen with the police. I think I'm not making excuses for what the guy did, but however, I do want to say this. I think quality of life in America, it gives people mental health issues, or it forces them to do these things that they wouldn't normally do. The quality of life in Thailand as a foreigner, personally, was amazing for me because of the things that I stated earlier. Good food, affordable living, easy transportation. Quality of life here in America is unless you have family helping you out, and it's very hard to get by. And when you're constantly working, stressing over bills, that can very much well affect your mind. It can give you hella stress and hella cortisol, and that could very much well affect your mind and force you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like I said, I'm not making excuses for that guy, but however, the quality of life here in America does force people to do things that they wouldn't normally do because it's hard. It's hard to live here in America. It's like the harder you work, you're not rewarded for it. And it's so silly because it should be the other way around. It should be the harder you work, the more you're rewarded for it, but it doesn't seem that way. Another thing that I want to touch up on is being a Gen Zer, it kind of feels hopeless here in America. To build yourself up from the ground up is very hard, and I know how this feels because I moved here to California when I was 18, and now I'm 22 years old. I was able to get my own car. I was able to sustain a few places. I've moved quite a lot, but I was able to at least maintain a pretty decent quality of life for myself. However, it was still very difficult. Before I dropped out of college, I had to work like 2 or 3 jobs. And even when I dropped out, I had to still work like 2 to 3 jobs just to keep myself afloat. You shouldn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to keep yourself afloat. And this is just me speaking as a Gen Zer. It's fucking redundant, it feels like, working in America. It just feels redundant. And I'm aware there's opportunity everywhere, but now I'm in a position to where I don't have to work. So this doesn't really apply to me anymore, but it's something that I can relate to. I can relate to the struggle of having to work so much just to have enough for bills, or having to stay out hours and hours at a time door dashing or doing Uber Eats, because I used to do that. I'd stay out till past 12 a.m. Some nights I'd work till like 5 a.m. just to have enough money for bills. And I don't regret those times. It built me. It made me the person that I am today. But if I didn't have to go through those times, that would have been appreciated as well, you know, because I just feel like you shouldn't have to break yourself so hard. But you know, the hard times build you as a person, and they build you as a man. But another thing that I want to touch up on is it's just that I want to touch up on just how hard you have to work here in America and how little you're rewarded for your work. The only way to get ahead in America, it's not to work a 9 to 5. You're not going to get ahead. You're going to waste your life working a 9 to 5 that doesn't pay you well. If your 9 to 5 pays you well and has good benefits, you can reinvest the money and you can do other things. But if you're working a dead-end minimum wage job, then you're not going to get ahead. Simply put, the only way to get ahead is to start something on your own. And that is the reason why I am able to move across the world, because I started day trading when I was in college. I was very, very aware in college that this degree is not a guarantee to my success. I was very, very aware that getting a job was not guaranteed to my success, because, I mean, even if I did get a well-paying job when I was in college, there was no guarantee that they wouldn't let me go. So I started day trading. I started learning. I started to get a mentor while I was in college, and 2.5 years later, it's all paying off. It's all paid off. So that's another thing. Just being in America is very hard because everything costs so much and places are just not paying enough. The proportion of what places and jobs are paying you compared to the cost of living is not proportionate. And that's something that I'm sure everyone watching can relate to. But another thing that made me fall in love with Thailand was the food. The food was amazing, tasted good, pretty healthy at that. If you eat Thai food, I feel like it's way healthier than American food. Here in America, we have, McDonald's, In-N-Out, I don't know, Burger King. We have stuff like that, and it's very, very unhealthy to eat that every day. It's convenient, but it's unhealthy, you know? In Thai, you can go get street food, you can get Grab, you can order whatever you want. Like I said, very affordable. The average meal for me costed $4, and it's just more healthier on your body. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I'm very nervous, however, making this move to Thailand, because I'm moving across the world, you know? Like, moving across the world is a very big step for me. I've done a move by myself before. I moved from Pennsylvania to California when I was 18, and things worked out, I'd say, pretty decently. I didn't end up on the street. I didn't end up homeless. I didn't end up broke. But moving across the world is a whole different thing, and I'm very nervous, but I'm very excited too at the same time. So I will be documenting my journey. I will be recording and just speaking from the heart and telling you guys about my experiences while I'm moving and while I'm in Thailand. So I hope you guys can find some sort of relatability from this video, because that's the biggest thing for me. I want to be able to bring people together and have them know that they can come to my channel and that there's a safe place where they can relate to me or just other people in the comment section. Because trust me, guys, I know how you guys feel. I know how it is just trying to make it. I know how it is. So if there's nothing else in this video that you got, then please comment down below if you can relate to anything that I said about America. And like I said, I'm going to be recording and documenting my journey. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you want, because I will be posting more. And I'll see you guys in the next video.